Rivertown now burns. That civilization gone, another black mark on humanity's record. Even more dead. More walking. Feeding into those endless tides. Senate. Your eyes struggle open. They're heavy. You fight against the blackness that surrounds you, the darkness that threatens to take you back. You were dreaming. You were somewhere else, a happier place. Tell me where you were.
I was somewhere totally different from here. I was with my family at a park, watching my son, who in my dream was 10, getting a glimpse of who he would have started to grow up to be.
You recognize the park. It is a park that you played in when you were a child. One that was vivid in your memory, a world before the fall. Brightly colored carousel off in the distance. A red and yellow seesaw, swings, the squeaking of those chains, the squeals of happy children all around, lush grass, warm summer days on your face. You watch as this 10-year-old boy, who looks so much like Remy, rocks back and forth on the swing.
I would look around in my dream for Remy.
She's lying on the ground behind you.
That's what she would like to do at the park. She'd lie on the ground with a book and read.
She's not reading. She's not relaxing. She's dead.
No.
Gunshot wounds across her chest. She's wearing the same outfit that you last saw her in Rivertown. Her eyes are open and blank. Her jaw slack.
No.
Your son is swinging behind you. You hear the squeaking of the chains, but they're not comforting anymore.
I'm gonna try to run to him.
He turns to ash.
No, Andy!
Away. And as you scream out his name, your eyes flicker open again. Venus. The captive is awake. He's strapped to a table. You have a temporary research facility that has been set up in a secure location not far from Rivertown. Operatives are still sweeping and clearing the area, ensuring that everything that's needed is collected and that the mission parameters are fulfilled. Salt the earth. This individual, however, was brought back to you, along with a few others.
Hello? Are you awake now?
Where am I?
Doesn't really matter. Not too far from where we found you. Not too close either. How are you feeling?
My arm. And... I don't... Do you have me drugged up?
Possibly. You look pretty bad. What happened to you?
Who are you?
You can call me, well, codename Victory, but you can call me V.
Are you Citadel? Who are you people?
No. We're not the messy, loud group that you refer to as a Citadel. We're something a little more organized, a little older than that.
I don't even know what happened here. The people in this community are not sane.
No, they've been very bad, actually, and you should be grateful we plucked you from the ground out there.
I'm not from here originally. I was here
Mm.
temporarily. Thank you for saving me.
Technically, if you notice the straps across your body, you're a prisoner. But that could change if you're useful.
One of your assistants named Dimitri enters into the tent. Everything around you, Senate, is white and glowing, pristine, clean. The floors, the ceiling, everything is covered in plastic. Shiny metal tables, untarnished by time. Something that you're not used to. This is so utterly sterile. A man enters wearing a suit that you recognize. Armor, but this armor is white. It's like what was found on the individual outside of the helicopter when Starburst was rescued. His helmet, however, isn't a skull. It's a clear plastic sheet across the top. The doctor, you now notice, is wearing a suit, not armored, but also has a hood sealed away. You hear the whirl of some sort of air filtration system nearby. Fans blowing air in and out of the room. You see beyond the sheets shadows of other gurneys with what look like other bodies on them. Some moving, some not. This man enters and looks to you, V, and walks up, providing you with a small tablet. On it are a series of printouts. The blood tests that you requested, Doctor.
Anything interesting?
It turns out that the subject is indeed infected. It's sporadic, though. This strain is different than those that we've seen before.
How's that?
There's a peculiarity in the 3rd and 4th zones. If you look at the paperwork there, Doctor, you'll see that the subject, and when he says subjects in it, you do notice that he looks down at you and then back to the doctor.
Oh.
The subject must have had contact with some advanced mutation.
Ooh. Our lucky day, then. I love new things. I love new information.
There's no way I can be infected. I haven't been bitten or anything.
Are you sure that's true? You were sort of passed out when we got you, is what I'm told.
It was a total mess. They did stitch him up completely before they brought him to you, Doctor, but he was barely hanging on. He'd lost a great deal of blood, and a transfusion was necessary to keep him alive.
And I pressed the button on my helmet to make my face visible underneath the hood. Sorry, my bedside manner isn't perfect, but it's very interesting. If you have a different kind of infection in you than the rest of the rabble out there, the Ramirez, as we all call them, then that's something new and fun for us to investigate and cure. We'll get there. So you may be useful after all.
A cure.
Yeah, been working at it every day since I've been alive. Sorry, since I've been made.
What are you gonna do with me? What tests or experiments are you gonna do?
Well, that just depends. This is a temporary facility, so we might keep you here, we might move you somewhere else, but you'll be alive and safe from the outside things.
You mentioned whether I can be useful, and I can.
How's that?
I'm a medic. I know I may not look like one, but I am. And how much do you know about the outside world? How much contact? And as I said, it's looking around at this very sterile facility.
Oh, we're in your outside world. We just made a little pop-up tent, so to speak. But you just say you're a medic. That's very cute. Our facility is rife with scientists and doctors and technology that you don't really have out here.
But I'm also... Do you know what rag and bone is?
Would I know what that is?
You don't know what rag and bone is. When he starts to describe what they are, you will realize exactly what he's referring to. It's well known that there are travelers, merchants that move amongst these small, pitiful communities, and as they do, they bring varied goods and services from one community to the other, news from the outside world, other information.
So a band of traveling little nomads. How cute.
That means that I know the communities that are out here, and if you found an anomaly in me, I can help you make contact with them.
It could be useful to figure out where you got infected with this new strain, but you've probably been everywhere, right? Just wandering around from town to town, delivering bits and scraps.
It's not exactly like that. There is rhyme and reason to it.
And what is that?
We plan where we're going to go because of whatever needs that need to be met.
So eking out a small, short existence for the rest of the humanity that's out here. To be fair, I'm pretty new to the outside world, so you're right, I have been a little sequestered away. In case you haven't noticed, we have different things here than you do.
But noticing.
Our life is pretty purposeful down there. Like I said, we're trying to find a cure, and we're trying to make humanity better.
Have you found a cure?
I found genetic, shall we say, improvements for the human race. But we're getting there. Now, thank you so much for this lovely talk. Been great. I'm sure you have lots more to say. But you're gonna have to stay here for testing. And I
can help you.
I'm sure you can. You want to write it down on a piece of paper? You can't. You're strapped down.
The assistant steps up, holding a hypodermic needle, and plunges it into your neck. And you feel a burning sensation run through your veins as everything starts to waver in your vision.
No, Remy!
And you shout out for Remy as you pass out. That's interesting. The assistant looks down at the paperwork. Remy.
Who is that? Should I know that name?
Well, Agent North has acquired a rogue scientist, one that has been watched for some time. Remy.
Ah, one and the same. So they're friends. How cute. Well, that's very lucky for us.
It could be. Would you like for me to inform command that this individual has potentially some knowledge of this rogue doctor?
Sure. What can it hurt?
Well, the last few individuals that we've acquired, you wanted to keep to yourself. So, Doctor, I wasn't going to presume.
I'm just feeling really magnanimous because apparently some people are mad that my last project didn't go super well. So we'll instill a bit of confidence into the higher-ups by letting them know we found them a present early on in the adventure here.
I'll forward all of the data that we've collected up to date and let the rest of Command know of our current situation. Is there anything else, Doctor?
Nothing for now, but keep an eye on this one. His blood may be useful, but if we find more like him, then maybe not. Just get some blood samples so we can keep them in storage.
Absolutely. I'll do that, Doctor. You continue to work the rest of the day, and we'll come back to you shortly. Senate, you hear the squeaking of that chain back and forth. But you aren't in the park any longer. You're in Rivertown. There's fire all around. A broken piece of machinery hangs in the infirmary next to you, rocking back and forth. And you see her on the ground, just as you had in your dream before. Shot multiple times.
No.
Lying dead. Next to her, a small locket covered in blood.
I'm gonna reach for that, even whether I can or can't. I don't know if I'm in a dream or not. I'm gonna reach.
Agent Mirin. It's early morning. The sun has risen, and the last remnants of the fire have been allowed to do their work. The majority of this small settlement has been destroyed. There are some portions of it that have been left untouched. The carnage is considerable, but with a little extra work, there will be no sign whatsoever that your group, Damocles, had ever been here. You are a handler. Your unit is very specific. It's used in a surgical manner to silence problematic areas of the Pin region. The work that the scientists and researchers in Sector 7 provide to all of humanity is all that matters. It's essential, imperative. What you and your people do is ensure that they're able to continue that research, continue the work of advancing, improving, and securing a future. You have a number of agents under your current command. Next to you is a Spectre, one known as Delta-7. Delta, do you use a call sign?
Delta goes by the call sign Bear.
And Agent Mirin, do you use a call sign?
Agent Mirin goes by the call sign Mist, as
Mist.
in pink mist.
Mist and Bear. You're currently on a ridge, not far from the community, but far enough to allow yourself a certain amount of freedom. You're able to talk amongst each other. Your sealed armor, each has a radio attached to the helmet. You're able to communicate easily, not only with yourselves, but you can open up those communications to others as you see fit. Some on the other side of this community, some in the center of it. Some already working to dredge what is left of that river for any important data. The river itself in front of you is full of the revenants, what the outsiders call Ramos. Someone or something directed an entire swarm downriver into this place. It's been contained. There is a series of fences that have been erected to prevent them from spilling into the encampment and ruining any chance that you and your people have of any successful recon. So far, the most notable piece of evidence that has been gathered here is a strange grove located on the outskirts of the forest about a mile away. It was on fire when you arrived, however, it clearly bears all the signs of early stage mutation. The black bile virus had been directed, pruned by someone. The rest of the village was filled with much of the defense that you have come to expect from the topsiders. Rough walls, crude weaponry, some firearms, but not enough to do anything against you and your people. One or two solid vehicles, mostly boats. None of it mattered in the end. The protocols were enacted and your work was completed in 5 short hours. 45 are confirmed dead. 6 were taken alive, including a very high priority target. The feral child from the nest. You and your people are well aware of what happened at that installation. It was months ago, but years of research were destroyed in an incident that has become well known among any of the operatives in the field. It was thought that none had survived, but alongside this feral, this child of the apocalypse, was the wayward Dr. Victor Ramos. Unconscious. His chip had been removed from his neck, so he was unable to be tracked. His wounds, a gunshot, had been patched, and he'd been taken care of. The people of this community clearly did not want him to die. One of the black boxes had been retrieved. It also was thought to be lost. However, it was compromised. Someone had opened it. The two of you were there when it was found. Vials, specimens, and antivirals that had been brought in from below for field research. That has been retrieved, along with a few of the survivors here. However, there is another issue, one that you have to attend to. Even with the dead and the survivors, a mutated revenant was spotted. It escaped. Your people couldn't stop it. 2 specters died in the attempt. It exhibited abilities beyond what such a early mutation should be capable of. Something had advanced its biological functions far beyond where they should have been. This twisted thing is a threat. Your orders were to salt the earth, meaning none of any strain of black bile, of reaper within this community can be allowed to be set free. If this revenant continues to survive, your mission is a failure, and you will accept the consequences of that failure. The sweep and clear mission is nearly complete, and you have specters in the field currently scouting for you, trying to find some sign as to where this revenant could have gone to. It's been over 40 minutes, and you've not heard a report back yet. Mist, Bear, what do you do?
You know, it might just me being paranoid again, but it's inconceivable that nobody would have checked in yet. It's been 40 minutes. It should have been 4 minutes, and here's a track to follow to this thing that we're going to put out of its misery.
Do you have an additional order?
Well, I'm just thinking that this is something that we are just going to have to take care of ourselves, like usual, Bear.
Is that within protocol?
Well, since I am the head of this unit, whatever I say is in protocol. We keep on going through this, Delta-7, you know, and it's so cute to me every time you try to just nudge a little bit on my orders.
Heard. What's the order?
The order is that I am tired of sitting on this ridge when everything has been done except for this last thing. Honestly, I'm always honest. Honestly, I don't even understand why we take survivors anymore. These topsiders, they don't think the way that they should. They don't think like we do, and it's always such an adjustment. And they always end up dying anyway, and none of them are good flirters. They're just, oh no, you captured me. I'm tied down to the gurney. No.
Agent Mirin, your radio comes to life. It's a direct feed. Bear, you don't hear this.
Commander, we have eyes on the target. There are complications.
What are the complications?
There's no further response.
I'm going to pull up the tracking for that agent and find the location of where they are so that we can head over there.
Okay, make me a navigation roll, please.
Delta-7, pull up the tracking information of that agent so that we can know exactly where they are.
Delta-7 pulls out from their pack somehow a slightly broken tracking pad.
You've got a screen, and it has a number of buttons across the bottom of it, but you do see the rest of the agents on there. This is considered a kit that you're using, so you can go ahead and make your roll. Tell me how you do.
Could there be any bonuses since Delta-7 is very good at taking command, and I'm very good at giving them?
I understand. Let's have 7 just make the roll and see how they
Sure. I do have jury rig, so I'm good with kits at least, but I do have a 15 in navigation. So, all right, that's only 2 degrees of failure.
All right, it's not bad at all. You do have this as a kit, though. I'm going to actually bring this down to 1 degree of failure. Do you want to use any competency?
This is something I'm not that good at. I think I usually try to extend where I can here, so I'll use 1 to make it a wash.
Okay, with a wash, you know where the agent is. It just takes a very long time for you to get the correct coordinates. And so your patience, perhaps, Mirin, is tested, but at the end of it all, a few minutes later, you do manage to come up with the coordinates. You've got other agents under your command. They are currently in the sweep and clear in Rivertown. Now, if you would like, you could pull some of those agents back and either have them accompany you, or you can order them to continue to do what they're doing now.
I'm going to order some of the agents to accompany us. Like there's any kind of... Their revolution here lasted for 5 hours. I only need half of the squad down there. The other half can take care of the rest of the Assaulting the Earth protocol.
All right. To help you along the ways, you have call sign Motormouth coming with you, who is both comms and nav, so you won't have to worry about failing that role again. Along with Motormouth, you have call sign Hacksaw, who is a very large, imposing brute, another specter, one of the unnatural born. Hacksaw is very quiet, but also very dangerous. You've seen him perform amazing feats of strength, but also incredible acts of violence. You also have Agent Weller, who is natural born, older, but a very adequate research assistant. So those 3 agents are going to be going along with you. So you'll be a group of 5, while the remaining 3 continue the search and clear. You're not the only unit here, however. Along with Damocles, you know that DAEDALUS is present. There are agents from that cell also working the sweep and clear protocol. You know for a fact that a few of the survivors have already been taken to a secure location not far from here. You have those coordinates as well, should you choose to use them. Once your unit is reassembled on the outskirts of the ruined, smoking husk of Rivertown, what would you like to do?
All right, Motormouth, Hacksaw, Agent Weller. Everyone else has a call sign. I'm not going to bring it up now. Agent Weller and Bear, we are on a search and destroy. It is, well, I'm always honest, so it will be dangerous. This is a revenant strand that we have not seen before. We cannot let it get away. If we let it get away, then that is going to come back on me, and we don't want anything coming back on me, because then that means that it comes back on all of us. And you don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. So let's go ahead and let's take out this Romero. Let's salt this earth, and let's get home in time for dinner. I'm sure there's going to be something really good for all of us to eat.
Would you like us to take formation?
Yes, let's get in formation. Would you like to take point, Delta-7?
Yes.
So Bear, you're taking this unit and you're forming a formation that you will then travel in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're taking point. Both Motormouth and Weller are in the center, along with, I assume, you, Mirin, as Hacksaw takes the rear.
Yes.
Would you like to alter that in any way?
No, I'll stay in the middle, but I have my long gun ready.
Typical protocol keeps leadership well shielded. Has this been a problem for you in the past, Mirin?
I don't like having people at my back. It just makes me kind of, just like, they're always kind of staring at me. That's just me, though. I'm sure it's just a thing.
And yet Hacksaw is so quiet.
Always so quiet. But very effective. And that's what matters. And always so big. I mean, you got to appreciate that in someone that's watching your back.
Certainly not a problem, as long as you can keep your eye on it. Your unit begins moving forward. It's quickly approaching midday now. You're following the coordinates, and Motormouth continues updating them. Motormouth has a series of twitches, usually subtle at first, but you notice his exhaustion begins setting in without the proper stimulants that you and some of the other specters use. Motormouth tends to become jumpy, little trigger happy, agitated. And you can see now that as midday begins approaching, Motormouth is scratching over the armor plates of his suit.
I halt for a moment, then turn back and just look at Mirin.
Agent Weller, do you have any... I know that you've brought some necessary meds with you. Can you go ahead and take a look at Motormouth real quick?
Copy that. Weller walks over and opens up a case. Motormouth is sitting there kind of like itching under the suit. I'm doing fine. It's just a little balmy today. The suit is scratching a little more than normal.
You know what, Motormouth? I never quite told you, but you look really good in your air vacuum suit.
2 ports on the side of the neck of the suit are penetrated with these tubes that Weller sets into them. Still hermetically sealed, but there is an injection needle that immediately finds its home in Motormouth's neck. This white, milky liquid expresses itself immediately into him as his eyes for a moment go completely blank, as if he stopped listening or seeing anything at all. And then he takes a deep breath as Weller pulls the 2 vials off of the suit.
I mean, I can just tell that you exercise outside of this. Well done.
Yes, everything's fine.
Yes, everything is fine, isn't it? And it's going to get better and better. Right?
Yes, Commander. Everything will be better and better.
Okay, now let's be an effective team together. Let's get back in formation. Let's get this Romero, and let's get the hell home.
Immediately, Motormouth goes about their work, and very efficiently, very clearly, if somewhat subdued, gives you all the information that you need to make sure that you and the rest of the formation make it to the location that the coordinates have led you to. There is something, though, Bear. Before you get there, I'd like for you to make a spot listen check.
Absolutely. Fuck. That is 3 degrees of failure.
What's your damage threshold?
It is a 7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Is that including your armor?
The armor actually reduces a certain number of dice. So, for instance, when wearing armor, because of that, any 1s or 2s that I roll are immediately discounted. But any number above 1 or 2 gets through. You then add those up, and as those numbers defeat your damage threshold, you start acquiring injuries. You take 21. You take a 4, a 4, a 3, and 2 5s.
All right.
Does any of that, you can break that through your threshold as you like, but your threshold is, if you take an injury, it's going to lower your threshold by 1.
Absolutely.
I'm going to roll to see how badly your armor is compromised. And I want you to roll a single depletion die.
Great. Four.
Okay. This isn't the first time that your armor has been breached. When it happens, Bear, it's never good. It definitely means that you're going to be in decontamination for at least 3 weeks. That's the best case scenario. There are agents that you know of that have been in decontamination for over a year, and then there's those agents that go into decontamination and just never come out. You feel the rush of exterior air as the side of your helmet breaks off, and you feel the suit rip and the armor peel back as something leaps out of a tree and drops down on you, slashing and biting and gnashing.
I would like to take my hatchet, sinking it into this thing.
I am also going to be giving some orders and shooting it.
So your intention split, which is fine. You're going to shout orders through the radio, and you're going to attempt to fire. Your intention, again, is to take your hatchet and to strike it again against this revenant that has just appeared in front of you.
Yes.
You haven't laid eyes on it yet. It's just a blur. You know what it is. However, having dealt with mutated revenants before, it's a lot quicker and quieter than anything that you found before. This shouldn't have happened, and yet here we are. You're going to roll your melee strike with your hatchet.
Sure.
It should be your slash. You're going to roll with your pistol, or are you going to use one of your assault rifles?
Oh, well, let's see. Like, previously I said that I had my long gun ready. I mean, I can have it where I have my pistol instead and do a speed roll later.
No,
for it.
I apologize. If you had said long gun, that's probably what you want to use, because anything else will slow you down. If that's what you had drawn,
Yes.
switching weapons adds speed dice.
Okay.
So, I need Bear. You were just grabbing a hatchet, but it
Hmm.
is going to slow you down a bit. I need 2 blue speed dice with your
Sure.
roll. And Mirin, I need you to roll 2 blue speed dice for your both your command and your shooting. Your command is included with that, though, so you can you don't have to roll anything for it. You just have to tell me what you're trying to order your people to do. Since you're in a formation, I'm not going to have them check or make any morales or make you make any rolls.
Okay, I rolled a 4.
Okay. How many degrees of success is that?
Oh, I rolled a 4 for my speed
Oh,
dice.
I'm sorry. You rolled a 4 for your speed dice.
I wish it was a 4.
How lucky for me that wasn't your percentile. All right, so you rolled a 4 on your speed die.
Yes.
And what did you get on your speed die?
I exploded, so I got a 12.
12. Okay, you're definitely going last.
Yes, I did get caught off guard.
Yeah.
The commands that I'm gonna... Well, should I roll for my gun first?
Oh, your gun. If you wish to, you can roll your gunfire first, or you can tell me what the commands are. Everybody's acting after you either way.
Okay. I rolled a 71, but I have a 65 in long gun, and I have a... Okay. So it came out as a wash, because 65 and 71,
Sure.
that's a wash. So I'm oh.
You do have
Wait,
a skill.
wait,
though.
let me
yeah,
just-
you have an added bonus. Go ahead. Are you in a location hazard? Yes.
Yes.
You are in
We're
a location
in a
hazard.
location hazard
You
because
are
this
in-
character has a. Okay.
You have acumen. And yes, Mirin, you are in a location hazard.
Okay. All right. So with my long gun, I am going to spend 4 competency points because it's a wash. So yeah, I'm going to use 4 competency points to make this a headshot. And because of my sharpshooter ability, there's more damage
Yes, it adds
that's
an
going to
extra
be
die.
happening with that headshot on top of.
All right. So allow me to roll a couple of dice. The rest of your team, you had shouted an order. What was it?
Hacksaw, get.
All right.
And Hacksaw has worked in my squad before. He knows that means going after the revenant.
Absolutely, yes.
Motormouth, get some more backup in here. Agent Weller, I need the good stuff.
All right. So with that, everyone performs their actions. You're actually firing first, okay? And you expertly fire around Bear. In any other situation, this would be potentially very disastrous, as Bear is currently locked into hand-to-hand combat with this dark silhouette that you see underneath this tree, the shadow of which is concealing much of what the features of this thing. You do see twisted, naked human flesh that has been entwined upon bone, and these bone spurs that seem to be growing out of the arms, the side, the knees, the calves, the ankles, as if these spurs were extensions of the bones that had grown in unnatural ways underneath the flesh, and then being unable to be contained by the muscle and the skin, erupted outward. The gray flesh is pockmarked and somewhat rotten. There's a cloud of flies that's close by, but you can see the elongated claws where the finger bones had grown out from their tips. And you can see them dripping with Bear's blood. Your gunshot finds its home in the creature's head, and the revenant tumbles backwards and hits the ground as you feel Weller drop 2 vials into your neck. Everything becomes hyper-focused. You are drilled in like a laser upon your target and upon the situation around you. You have benefits that I'll give you. Your spot listen, your search, your dodge. These skills are improved by the drugs that have just been pumped into your system. Weller is behind you. Hacksaw doesn't stop. Dropping from the side of his holster, he pulls down a very large, triple-barreled shotgun that is sawed off and starts firing into the creature on the ground. And you watch as flesh, gray bone, and muscle explode outward as holes are driven into this revenant on the ground. Black bile splatters everywhere. And you hear the radio pop and buzz as Motormouth reports everything back, calling for backup. Targets acquired. The bogies have been located. All this happens in a heartbeat. The Revenant stops moving, but Bear doesn't.
I swing my hatchet down into the thick of this thing's skull. I am fucking angry that it hit me.
Your hatchet cracks through its skull. You can see its face now. It looks soft and bloated, like it has sacs on the side of its neck that are filled with some sort of fluid, and the head has been caved open from the gunfire on one side. But you don't stop. You're breaking through the skull as these large, bulbous eyes nearly jolt themselves out from their sockets. The impact of this hatchet slapping down as Hacksaw continues to fire. You're not in the path of that fire, but you're watching as this black bile splatters everywhere. All over you. All over your open wound. All over your armor. Your anger and your desire to step forward and wreak revenge upon this revenant have put you in a very bad position, Bear. This is more than decontamination now. You have been exposed. I'd like for you to raise your viral count to 2.
I raise my hatchet again and drive it. Just fucking pissed.
I'm scanning the tree line and everything to make sure that this is the only one.
Everything's quiet. Hacksaw is also looking off to the horizon, taking the position that Bear left open when he broke formation.
I'm gonna make my way over to Bear, see what has happened.
Hacksaw, through his helmet, you can tell he's watching you closely, waiting for any kind of signal that you might want to give him.
Well, I always knew you were sweet on me, Delta-7, but I didn't think that that would make you fuck up so much in the field. Well, you know, let's see if maybe we can make something tasty out of this big shit pie that you just made for all of us. Because, you know, you're very valuable, Delta-7. And I don't just mean your body and your looks. So let's see if we can try to save something with this. Agent Weller, I'm going to use my antivirals that I have with me to...
Each antiviral is a prized resource. As a commander, you are given a vial of this very, very closely guarded antiviral. Its purpose is really to keep the command threshold strong in the event of an emergency. Should there be any incursions that prevent leadership from persevering while the rest of the Spectres are in the field, this is sort of a last resort. You're going to give it to Weller to administer to Bear.
I'm going to give one of them to him. I've got 10.
Can I recognize what those look like?
You know what they are.
That's an unadvised use of resources.
Oh, are we talking back now? You don't want me to save your life? Is that what you're saying to me? Is there some reason for that? You want to die?
I appreciate protocol, whether to my detriment or my benefit.
Then you'll appreciate that the commander just told you what was going to happen. Weller holds out his hand for one of the vials.
I'm going to give him one.
Hold still, soldier. And since the majority of your armor has been wrecked, Weller examines the wound. Agent, this is going to hurt. You might want to bite down on something. Do you want to keep that farce of a helmet on? Or should I just start? And you can see that he has what looks like a little blowtorch in his hand. And a small blue flame shoots off of it.
I remove the helmet, and you see that where this scar seems to have already been has been reopened by the crashing of and smashing of this helmet. Keeping my eye contact with Weller, bite down on the wood of my hatchet.
He takes his hand and slowly tips your head to one side. And you feel the heat before you smell the burning flesh and hair.
I'm quiet.
I want you to make a resist pain. I'm going to give you this moment of quiet anger, given that you are so easily tripped up in your absolute aggression. This moment has cost you dearly.
Get this
I
out of the
gotta,
way.
yeah,
next roll.
I gotta switch out my dice or something.
How many degrees of failure?
3.
You could spend competency if you like, but your failure here isn't going to be that you shout out. It's going to be that I'm going to give you extra damage.
Well, I don't like that either, Knox, particularly.
The choice is up to you.
I will spend 1 more competency to take that down to 2 degrees of failure.
Am I correct in that you have 3 levels of damage?
3 levels of damage, yes.
Okay.
I know why you asked that question. I do. But I only have 3 competency points.
Mirin, do you wish to assist in this situation by lending competency to your teammate?
I just gave him an antiviral tube. Now he's now he wants more.
Your motivational presence might be able to turn the tide here as Weller works. It's up to you.
Delta-7 is very good at taking commands. I'm very good at giving them. Suppose if that translates to, I mean, do you not have survival points?
I'm not offering anything on survival points quite yet. This is your first mission at this table. Why would we already be in the middle of trading out survival points for competency?
Yeah, why would we be there?
I have 1 competency point left. I think with the command and the formation that we do have currently around Delta-7, it would make sense to use that competency point as a command feature to keep this one from making more damage on himself.
It will pay off to a certain extent. The competency is spent, and you don't take additional damage. And the wound is very quickly cauterized and sealed as the searing hot flame burns into your flesh. Then a series of hypodermic needles are plunged right into the base of your neck. You feel almost woozy as the antivirals hit you. Weller looks at the syringe and then looks back to you, Mirin. Commander, I believe that he'll be fine for the next 3 hours.
Well, you hear that? You've got at least 3 hours to live. We might as well finish off this mission then. I'm guessing that you're not going to be on point, though. So, Hacksaw, let's take a quick gamble around here and let's make sure that there is nothing else that is going to jump out and say, hello, hi, surprise. And we can wait for our reinforcements to come. And then we can have our natural-born Delta-7 carried away, and we can continue on with our work.
10-4, Commander.
But everyone, just look. This is what loyalty can buy you. Do you see? This is Delta-7 has been on many missions with me and has pulled my butt out of the fire more than once. So that is why this has happened. But this doesn't happen for everybody, so don't expect for that to be a thing. So it's not just his cute butt, it's his loyalty. Let's follow my orders. Let's continue on.
Your unit moves silently, following your orders without question. The show of loyalty has clearly been seen and appreciated by your people. Bear, how are you feeling?
I am usually very good at spotting danger. It is something that I am good at that most specters are not. So the fact that this thing got past me makes me pretty curious, let's say, as to what it could be.
Are you investigating the corpse?
Sure, I'm taking up the back. I have some time.
Weller took a cursory moment to collect some small amount of samples before moving on, as is protocol. He then injected the corpse with another vial. It's a biological agent. Within an hour, this corpse will no longer be here, and you're already watching as the flesh starts to bubble and the bones begin to melt away from whatever it is that he's just unleashed on this revenant. It twitches. You know that that's part of the process as the internal remaining muscles and organs begin to contract and move and desiccate and then burn. Like a multiplying acid that slowly takes it from within and draws it back. But you do have a moment as you look at it. And you see bits of bark interworked into those bits of gray skin that are close to the bone. Vines that have actually been grown into the back. As if it were attached at one point.
This thing jumped from a tree, didn't it?
It did.
I don't break formation to investigate further, but I do make note.
All right.
Mirin watches you when you do that.
Agent Marin, you are moving further and further into what is quickly approaching noon. It's October. Soon to be November. It's cold, but the sun above you is relentless. It's glaring. Your group moves as it has always moved, quietly and carefully. You can't be seen. If you are, that just means more of the topsiders that have to be quieted. Your group moves further and further into the forest, though, away from River Town and the wreckage of what you and your people left behind.
We have movement. Take defensive positions. I'll send coordinates.
We'll come back to you. Dr. V. There's another doctor with you. The two of you are currently looking at all of the research that has been acquired from the mess that was left in this river town, as it was called by the locals. The doctor has a long spread of papers on one of the clean, sterile metal tables alongside you. The two of you have been here for hours, debating exactly what it is that you're looking at. The signatures and the markers in the blood of the subjects that you've acquired are beyond abnormal. They're mutating at a rate that is unseen, unheard of. There is some agent, some element of this mutation that has expressly changed the way that the Reaper virus typically works within a revenant, and then within a human subject when transferred to them. Something has been altered. but neither of you seem to be able to agree on exactly what it is. One of the subjects is the man that you have held in the room to your right. Along with him, a number of corpses have been acquired so that the bodies could be tested as well. Specimens could be collected, and your research could include those specimens. However, both Damocles and Daedalus are still active. You are part of Daedalus. Daedalus, unlike Damocles, isn't necessarily about clearing the field. It's about acquisition. Your group has always succeeded. Those mission parameters, of course, can be interpreted by others in various ways. But to the letter of your missions, you've always succeeded. Dr. Swift, your partner in this moment, looks to you. The female subject's blood work is similar to the male's, but it seems to be moving faster, as if something in her genetic makeup is accepting the change faster than he is. Either that or something else, some unknown factor, has caused him to be able to resist the infection.
Could it be environment? He mentioned that he wasn't from here. I never got his name. What are we calling him? Specimen?
He's 4.
Great. So, it could be this town has something to do with it? He said he was never bitten, but perhaps he was just introduced to it when he came here.
We've just received all of the original work that we did on the fields on the outskirts of town. And, you were right. There was an abnormal level of Reaper present in the soil.
Ooh, that's a new one. Someone is self-infecting this community?
It seems that way. The male, if he wasn't part of this original community, perhaps the fact that he hadn't been exposed for as long is the reason why these blood works are so vastly different. She was certainly a local. According to this, she was found inside of the central building, clutching onto an older man. A man called Lincoln.
Lincoln was also deceased?
From what we can tell, he was the leader of the community. He had turned and was shot. Someone put him out of his misery. Apparently this woman, who our assumption is was his daughter.
Tragic. The way these topsiders live. So now that they're creating a new virus by somehow self-infecting their soil and probably eating the crops that grow from it, I assume that is the new mutation we are facing. Great job, humanity. You're really fucking things up for us.
They aren't making it easy, that's for certain. Doctor, do you have any insight? Would you like to explore any of the data that we've collected, or should we proceed?
I don't know. I feel like we sort of took care of everything in this town. I believe you told me the soil specimens were collected from a place that's already burning, so maybe we just proceed?
From what I understand, our Spectre agents didn't set that fire. It was set from an outsider. We would have, of course, collected better specimens, but even through the blaze, we were able to collect some data. There were abnormalities in that grove as well. We weren't able to collect much, though. We have a number of the subjects still alive, so if we wanted to interrogate, we could bring in a specialist, or we could see how some of the more experimental treatments work against their current infection levels.
Oh, second choice sounds the best. I mean, I feel like if we talk to these people, they're just going to tell us what we've already discovered. And it would be interesting to see how our solutions work on this new mutation.
We did recover one of the black boxes.
Oh.
The nest wasn't completely lost. We thought that it had been destroyed. But as it turns out, the operatives that were involved didn't all perish in the crash. One of them survived.
Which one?
Dr. Victor Ramos. You're familiar with Dr. Ramos?
Yes. Optimistic to a fault, and thought he went the way of the dodo, as they say. Wow. I did not expect him to be the only survivor, was that correct?
Well, the feral child was recovered as well. She's in a coma currently, but we've been able to stabilize her. We think it's only a matter of time before we can harvest the necessary genetic material to be able to resume our experiments.
This is all spectacular news to me. I'm so pleased. This is our first mission up top for me. And I can't believe we got the specimen back. We found the happy doctor. We found a mutation to experiment on. This is all great news. I'd like to see, perhaps, the other doctor, Victor, and what was the specimen's name?
We were referring to the specimen as 2B74.
Yes, 2B74. Would love to see their condition.
We also have the contents of the black box, and as a senior research, you would be able to then take that black box and do with it as you see fit before it is, of course, returned to Sector 7. We have a number of the more volatile options at our disposal should you wish to try a little field work before we return.
I think that sounds wonderful, Dr. Swift. You and me are on the same page.
Of course, Doctor. And Swift has sort of a malicious grin on his face as he turns and walks out. Returns a short while later with the box that's currently on the table. It has a number of vials in it, all of which you are aware of what every vial contains. Blood specimens from the wayward feral child subject that had been contained at the nest, but also a certain synthesis of both black bile or Reaper virus concentrated from a organism that had been nurtured within that complex, a hyper strain, as it were, of the revenant. If it were to be used on either a living subject or a dead subject, there would be immediate mutation. It could cause drastic alterations to both physicality and create a dangerous biohazard, but could be of use to you. The two vials that are blue are both experimental, long-term antivirals. For some time now, Nero has managed to create inhibitors. Field agents are given these inhibitors, but their efficacy quickly lessens the more that they're used. If an agent is infected, that agent could be given one of these antivirals, and it will, for a time, slow the spread of the Reaper virus. Of course, the second dosage of that antiviral has a half-life, and then the third, and then the fourth, until the antivirals no longer produce any sort of useful effect, and the subject invariably dies. But when they turn, what's most interesting, when they turn, the virus seems to have learned from the prolonged exposure to their living tissue. They always come back with a certain amount of intelligence that is far beyond that of any normal revenant. an awareness that is a certain level of hell. To be trapped in a rotting corpse and somewhat conscious, though still ravenous, stricken with the madness that comes with the virus. You've seen this intelligence in the mutations in the field. But the inhibitors that you and your people have created, for some reason, they seem to expedite this process. So that is what you have access to in the black box that is delivered to you from Dr. Swift. You have two subjects. A young woman with stringy, mousy, long hair, dirty and oily. She's been cleaned to the best of your assistant's ability and is in a paper gown, strapped to one of the tables. The other is this man, also in a paper gown, strapped to the table. The rest of your subjects are deceased. They're going to be burnt before you and the rest of Damocles reunite. DAEDALUS has work to do, but before all of you extract yourselves, loose ends have to be tied up, as it were.
I decide to do two things. One is determine if I can replicate the new inhibitors at any kind of fast rate to make a couple more copies. There's only 2 in this box. So I save 1 for that purpose. The other one, I'd like to give to one of these subjects. They're both infected in different ways with the mutated virus. I'd like to see if it would cure this new one. But how do I decide? I know the woman has a stronger version of the virus, is that correct?
It's more advanced. She's further down the infection. Her eyes are already laced with long, winding black veins. You can see her neck is pulsing unnaturally as the blood pumps rapidly through her. She's fitful, though she's already been sedated. In fact, the sedations are starting to become something of a problem. The man, however, is more stable and has clearly a very strong level of infection, but one that isn't quite as advanced.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I take out a scalpel. I slit the woman's throat. That one's done.
She bleeds out on the table, and your assistants wheel her into the burn pile.
Thank you. And I attempt to give this subject, subject 4, the new antiviral.
You load the hypodermic gun that you have at your disposal. You move to the subject, and you inject him with the experimental fluid.
Sweet dreams.
Senate, I'd like for you to make an endurance check for me.
Okay.
You have 4 black dice of difficulty.
And I'm unconscious, right? Like, the last thing that happened to me is I went 99.
You're having a nightmare in which you are watching your former lover
Right.
die in front of you, hearing your child somewhere in the distance unattainable.
Oh my god. Okay. All right, so far. Let's roll 2 at a time. Fuck.
Did you have some exploding dice there, my friend?
Yes, so that's 11 so far total. 20, so 49 plus 20 is 69. That is 1 degree of success.
Interesting. How much, I believe you have 4 levels of damage that you're currently holding on to.
Yeah. I'm pretty messed up. Yeah.
All right. What's your damage threshold then? Whatever it is, make sure it's -4.
I mean, my damage threshold total is I guess it's 10.
So you have a damage threshold of 6 currently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to roll 3 dice. This is the damage that your body is taking as this experimental antiviral wreaks havoc on your system.
If I spend competency, can that alter the scenario?
How many competency do you have?
I have 3.
I'd be remiss if I didn't allow you to use them.
I will use 2 to make my 1 success into 3.
All right. I'm going to roll the 3 dice. You have 4 levels of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Your damage threshold is currently a 6. You take a 4,
Uh-huh.
and that's all.
Oh.
However, if you take 2 additional temporary points of damage, it will push you into 5 levels of damage, which means you're dead.
Got it.
You're hanging on by a thread as your body convulses and foam starts to spew forth from your mouth. The subject immediately tenses, Doctor, and you're watching as his eyes flutter open and immediately roll into the back of his head. His veins begin twisting and pulsing as you can see that clearly his body is trying to express this virus inside of him.
Subject responding so far, not super negatively or super positively, but is strong. I made a good choice.
Dr. Swift immediately places a number of electrodes across the temples of his forehead and begins to measure his bodily responses to this antiviral.
Hopefully something good comes of this.
His body continues to jolt, and at one point he actually breaks the restraints, and 2 assistants are rushed into the room as they grab onto him. He's involuntarily swinging his arms and his legs and rolls off of this gurney onto the floor. What do you do?
I'm afraid this will interfere with a true test, but... Doctor, can we give him some muscle relaxants, please? So we don't have a problem.
Dr. Swift has an assistant bring him a syringe, and he's trying to carefully get it to Sennett's neck as 2 other assistants hold him down onto the ground. But he's fighting back. He's a big man.
Strange. Do you need help?
Swift looks to you, and you can see that this, like, porcelain expression is cracked. As Swift is clearly worried about what's happening in front of him. Sennett,
Mm-hmm.
what's your strength?
47.
He perseveres and tries to place the injection directly into Sennett's neck, but Sennett's arm shoots upward and the hypodermic needle flies across the room as Swift is thrown backwards.
No. unexpected. Let us isolate the subject. Everyone, evacuate, lock the doors. We'll observe him from outside.
Everyone immediately leaves this facility. Now, it is a research tent. He can be contained, but what they do is they release a gas into this chamber, and it fills the room. And eventually the subject stops moving and twitching, and Senate, your body drops down. And Remy's in front of you. She's younger. The two of you are around a campfire. Your hand is on her swollen belly. And she's looking at you. This is a memory. One that has been so crucial to you. One that has held you in the darkest times. When you knew your son was about to be born into this world, that you had succeeded in protecting them, that he would be here, that all of the fear and the hiding was over, at least for a while. You and your new family would be able to travel again, not lie hidden like rats in these tunnels. What do you do?
I'm leaning down and I'm talking to my son. That's inside of Remy. Hey there, big guy. Can't wait to meet you. This world is hard, but it's worth it. And your mom is gonna make it perfect for you. Because she's the best, the smartest, the most talented person I know. And I know that talk like this makes Remy squirm, but I grab her hand and I hold it while I tell our son all about his mom. This world is going to be safe one day, and your mom is the one. She's the one that knows how to do it.
That's the last thought that you have, Senate. Before your body is taken and placed into a long, metallic, cylindrical tube. You don't feel it. You're not aware. You're just in that moment by the campfire. As the liquid nitrogen fills that coffin and freezes your body solid. You're killed in that moment, Senna. But your body is preserved. and it will be used. The secrets of this world may very well unfurl themselves in this death. But you will not be there. We'll be right back. I'm claiming 20 risk.
For what?
You'll see. Oh man. Mirin. Delta-7. Bear. Call sign Bear, call sign Mist. You're in the middle of the shit, as it's called. You and your unit have located one of these revenants. Apparently there are more that have been located. It wasn't alone. It did, however, breach your armor, Bear. It has wounded you, and in your anger, you met it in hand-to-hand combat. In doing so, you managed to splatter black bile across your wound, and you're infected. Your unit leader has authorized the use of antivirals, but you know that that is a temporary solution.
I take the point that Hacksaw had in the back. I take out my shotgun, and I continue. The mission is still the mission.
Mirin, your unit is moving with machine-like precision as it pushes through these heavy forested groves on the outskirts of what was once known as Rivertown. Now it's just a burning husk. One of the few communities that managed to hang on for so long out here in the wilds. It's on the far outskirts of the western banks of what's known as the Pin. A little further out than you've operated in the past. The parameters of your mission have, for the most part, been met. Salted Earth protocols have been seen through. Many are dead. A few straggling survivors have been taken in for research purposes. However, there were mutated revenants. Unexpected, actually. Not supposed to be part of this mission, but here we are. There was only one of them, per all of your intel. But that intel seems to be incorrect, as, according to Hacksaw, 2 targets have been spotted moving through the tree line. What do you do?
Can you let me know what those bonuses are that I have? You said spotless and search in one other one.
You're going to add 10% temporarily to your rolls for those specific skills.
Spotless and it was just spotless and search. There wasn't a third.
And dodge.
It was dodge,
And
as well.
dodge.
The only downside to this particular cocktail of drugs is that you are somewhat irritable. That's all. You'll have a bit of a hangover, perhaps, but it'll pass.
Usually does.
And the effects in this moment are absolutely indisputable. You're better. You're faster. You're more focused. This is the price of excellence in the field.
This is why our team wins. This is why we're an effective team. Usually. All right, so we have 2 bogeys in front of us. Motormouth, how close are our reinforcements?
Incoming. They're just about 30 clicks back.
So, can I use my spot listen or my search to find exactly where these
Oh, you know
2
where
targets?
they are.
Oh, we see them.
Yes. The markers have been placed. The heavy, flat tablets that you carry, those that you use to navigate these wildernesses, to keep track of your fellow agents. It's possible to mark other targets. Now, these aren't mobile. These are sites of last location. But you see where those targets were, and according to Haxall, they were not mobile. Again, the noonday sun is heavy upon you. It's bright, even through the canopy of trees around you. What do you do?
So we see 2 stationary revenants in the trees.
You know the locations. You haven't yet made your way to those locations. They're separate, so you can investigate one at a time.
Okay. Well then, we are going to go ahead and very stealthily investigate the one that is closest to us to the left.
Okay. You break off your unit and head to the left.
And Motormouth, continue giving our location.
Motormouth continues updating the comms so that the rest of the unit is aware of exactly where you are. Both Daedalus and Damocles are being informed. If the sweep and clear is truly complete, you should have a sizable contingency of soldiers behind you. You can make your spot listen.
No, shoot. Running away. Yeah. Of course it is. I rolled a 1.
So 5 degrees of success is going to be good enough for you to see the figure clearly in the branches above you.
I have a competency point with that 5 degrees of success. I have a bunch of other stuff that goes.
I'm going to give you a competency point for the 5 degrees of success. And I'm going to tell you exactly what you see. There is a similar figure deep in the boughs of the tree in front of you. It's about 20 feet away. It's about 10 feet up. This revenant is crouched, curled into a tight ball, pressed up against the trunk of the tree. Its back is to you. You see its spine, and you see all of these vines. They're wrapping themselves around the tree itself. It doesn't seem to be aware of anything else around it. It doesn't react. It's very quiet here. There are no birds, no sounds of life. The only thing that you notice is that there's a buzzing of flies, heavy and thick around the trees. Not just the tree that the Revenant is in, but all of them.
And Motormouth is my comms and nav. Do we have a equipment with us to be able to paint this location?
You do.
We're going to paint this target and stealthily withdraw to then get intel on the second target.
All right. Motormouth makes quick work of making his way just a little closer and then dropping some trackers. He has a clear shot. Do you leave Motormouth here so that you still have eyes on Motormouth and this target? So that, I'm sorry, Motormouth would have a shot, more or less, from where they are. You would be able to move off to the other location and still have eyes on Motormouth, though you wouldn't have eyes on the tree itself.
As their commander, I am well aware of each person's capacity and stress levels. What would be my gut instinct here if I left Motormouth there to watch this target?
Motormouth would be fine. Maybe not earlier, but now that Motormouth has been enhanced, you have very little doubt that he will do his job.
And he's a good shot?
Very good. When he's not jittery.
Which he's not.
He is not. Weller saw to that. You authorized the use of enhancers.
I'll have... We've already painted the target. There's no need to leave an individual of my team right here. I might need them to be around me.
All right. So, Motormouth is going to re-sling the rifle and follow your lead.
We're going to go to the second target now.
Your entire unit?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone moves to the second. Now, before you get there, I'd like for everybody to make a stealth roll.
That's 2 degrees of success for me.
It's 1 degree of success for me.
And 3 degrees of success from Hacksaw, who somehow managed to blow this out of the water, despite his size. Motormouth got 1, and Weller got 1 degree of failure, but it doesn't matter, because Weller is currently within your formation, and I'm going to let your successes absorb the failure. Is that fair?
Yes.
More than fair.
So, in whole, your unit is deadly quiet and moves through the forest without so much as a twig snapping. You make it to the second tree, and sure enough, there's another of these revenants in a similar position, only this one is facing towards you. And you can see that its rib cage is open, and that there's something undulating inside of it, hanging out like fruit dangling from a branch. It's slick and dark, but you don't have good eyes on it.
Motormouth. Paint it. Be careful.
Copy that. And again, in that sort of hazy but very effective means of movement, Motormouth moves a little closer, drops the tracker, weapon drawn, moves back to the unit.
We're going to withdraw to middle equidistance between the 2 targets. Motormouth, give me an ETA on our reinforcements. These are 2 big bad boys, and I would rather have some more backup before we decide to dance the tango. Unless Delta-7, you want to volunteer. You seem to dance with them quite well.
I'll follow an order if you give it.
Hmm.
We have birds in the sky, coming from the south.
Do we have a horde coming?
No, you understand what birds refers to. It's a code for the drones.
Mm.
Now, that usually prefaces the arrival of your troops. They're not going to be far behind. 2-3 minutes tops. But you do realize that the drones, while quiet, aren't silent. And if they strafe the tree line, there's a chance that they're going to wake up these targets.
Relay the information to Motormouth. Relay the information to base that we need to be silent with this. If they can't be silent, then they need to hold the birds.
Motormouth immediately relays your command.
Standing down.
So we have just a couple of minutes. Am I the only long-range sharpshooter in this particular unit?
No, Motormouth is good. As far as marksmanship goes, though, Bear is also pretty handy in a gunfight, though long-range weaponry isn't exactly your forte.
Motormouth, Hacksaw, you are going to get closer to our first target. We're preparing for reinforcements to come in. What we are trying to do is we are trying to take these bad boys out, preferably with head and body shots. And then Agent Weller will follow up with samples and the bio acid. Myself and Bear will then make our way to the second target. Again, we are waiting right now for reinforcements, but if you start seeing these bad boys looking at you, you let me know before you shoot, and we'll do it at the same time.
Affirmative, Commander. Affirmative. Copy that.
Affirmative.
Weller, give Hacksaw something that's going to make him endure.
Weller opens his case once more and pulls out a vial that he places into a hypodermic gun and walks over to the large man. Once injected, you can almost feel the heat and the tension from Hacksaw, as if every muscle were tensing. His back straightens, and he moves a little more slowly. But there's a heaviness to his walk, as if something about his internal structure had been braced against anything that might come at him. You know what this does. He doesn't feel anything. His nervous system has just been turned off. Anything that happens to him, it's not going to stop him from doing what he needs to do.
Hacksaw, a big bad boy. If it gets past Motormouth, it's not getting past you, is it?
It sure as fuck isn't.
That's right. That's right, it isn't. Not this team, not this time.
No, Commander. It's not.
All right, you get ready to dance, big boy. Go ahead with Motormouth.
Let's go. And your unit splits up and starts moving. I need to make a couple of rolls. Your team's on it. They get into position and they await your command.
Motor mouth, get me an ETA on our reinforcements.
30 seconds.
As soon as they are here, we shoot. You got my back, Delta-7? You ready to take this thing down? Maybe not quite in the same way you did before?
Affirmative.
Are we an effective team, Delta-7?
We are an effective team.
I love to hear it. Let's get you some revenge.
Bear, I'd like for you to set your timer to 5 minutes.
Spicy.
The 30 seconds feels like an eternity, but it passes. And you don't hear them. But all of the call signs across the radio chatter tells you exactly where everyone is. They're being led by other commanders, but given your intel, you have 2 equal forces on either side. Red laser light pierces through the bright light of the dappled forest canopy as you see them begin to land on your targets. First one, then another, until 5 or 6 of these laser sights find their home. What do the 2 of you do?
You said that around here there was flies all around, just not only at these 2 targets that we've been focusing in on.
They've been swarming in strange ways all throughout this grove.
Permission to speak.
Go right ahead.
Say we make a large amount of noise, and there's more than these 2.
Well, then we got reinforcements to help take out the rest. Do you want to do a quick search with me?
Maybe one of us takes the shot, and the other keeps an eye out.
Which are you volunteering for?
I'll keep an eye.
All right, then. Be prepared. And I relay to everyone to also be aware that there might be more than 2 targets. And then I'm going to give the order for everyone to shoot.
It's quiet. Many of these guns are silenced. I'm spinning 40 risk.
Yeah.
Your 2 targets, having been painted, carefully scouted out, begin to jolt as the gunfire racks through their bodies. You watch as you also fire that slick black form in the center of the one that is facing you. It explodes as a bullet tears through it. But when it does, this bile gushes out of this form down the whole length of the side of the tree. And as this jagged, bony, strange revenant drops out of the tree and crashes downward, convulses, and the gunfire is still going. You know, its body is torn apart. This tree has also been painted in a thick, black miasma. The same for the other. The flies immediately begin to swarm and swirl around that tree. And you hear this buzzing, clotting sound. It's thick and really hard to see beyond them.
We no longer have visuals on the targets. Commander, what do you see?
What do I see? I mean,
Swarms of flies. Thick, heavy, dark blobs of flies. The daylight is blocked out. More and more seem to be approaching as this buzzing becomes so loud. It's maddening.
we are going to withdraw and we are going to drop bombs on this entire area. Get your grenades ready, and then also get those fun drones that drop things that explode out of the air. Let's go ahead and just air bomb this entire area. Team to me, we are withdrawing.
You don't have any response from either Hacksaw or Motormouth. Weller, however, is close enough to you that you can see he's packed up and ready to go. The other two, though, there's no comms, no response. What do you do?
I made my command. Whether or not they can respond at this point, they know to head back.
Okay.
So we're going to head back to the original clearing.
There are a number of rendezvous spots.
Okay.
You won't be picked up until a certain time. It's a protective measure. You're free to keep yourself alive in whatever means you need, but you have probably another 4 or 5 hours until extraction. So you can go back to that specific area if you like, but you're on your own. You do have other soldiers around you. You don't know where they are. The radio chatter has become very disjointed, and you're not exactly sure why. Bear, I need you to make an endurance check.
That makes sense. That's a wash. I'll use my last competency point to make that a success.
Is this a location hazard? With the
You are leaving the horde of flies, is that correct?
Well, I haven't left just yet.
If you're in the middle of this horde of flies, it is in fact a location hazard.
I'm just fine with using my competency here. Those flies are scary.
All right. So you're perfectly fine, Bear. You're a little woozy, and you realize that the inhibitors are a little off. You shouldn't be having any residual effects of the bile at this point. You're fine, but for some reason everything got wavy for a moment. Your vision became blurred. Your ears were pulsing as the blood pumped through them, but then it went away. Do you say anything?
Missed. I'm experiencing residual effects.
Well, that's not possible. Weller, did you bring us the crappy stuff this time around? You don't want
Commander,
me to get paranoid now.
That's not possible, Commander.
Mm.
That's standard issue. You're just
I know
stressed out.
myself.
It's psychological, soldier.
All right, well, I'm not going to have you gaslighting one of my soldiers, Agent. I know Delta-7, and if something is going on, then something is going on.
Let me tell you, Commander, that through my experience, with all due respect, this antiviral, its efficacy is perfect. There is no problem with it. I can assure you.
Okay, and I'll tell you, little science nerd, don't make me leave you out here by yourself. Don't talk back to me. Not to me. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. It just makes me paranoid, and you don't want me to get paranoid. Let's continue heading out.
Weller shuts the fuck up. However, this conversation, the time that you spent here, I need you all to make a dodge roll.
Jesus.
Okay. All right, I have 1 degree of failure, but I have a competency. I will use 2 competency to make it 1 degree of success.
Okay.
We are in formation. Oh, what did you do?
5 degrees of failure.
You just
4.
wanted-
4 degrees of failure.
just wanna
I'm so
die
sorry.
today.
73, not 75.
So you pull back, Mirin, as you realize the flies are getting thicker around all of you. And you watch as they are pelting themselves onto your helmet and splattering against your visor. And there's a thick smear of them in front of you, but you do manage to pull back before they can completely obscure your optics, clog your vents, cause additional issues with your armor and your filtration systems. Weller isn't as lucky, and you watch as his visor, which is just a clear panel, it usually has a mirrored surface on it, but he's able to actually press a button that allows it to become translucent. Currently it's translucent because of the exchange that you've been having, but you're watching as these smears of dead flies are splattering themselves across the helmet, and it is causing him to panic. As he pulls back, he drops his case and starts swatting at the air, and you hear,
I can't breathe.
Agent Weller, you can breathe just fine. You will pick up your case and you will follow me out of this little bit of fly cloud right now. Pick up your case.
Weller isn't your only problem. You have 5 degrees of failure,
4.
4 degrees of failure. You don't have a helmet on.
No, I don't.
The flies aren't battering themselves against your helmet. They're not simply an inconvenience. They're crawling into your ears, your nose, your mouth, and pressing themselves under your eyelids. Crawling against your skin, you feel them all massing against you. What do you do?
I am a person who follows orders. I do not break formation. That is my point of pride, that even if I am not what other people would call a true Delta, that I am just as good. But if I don't break formation now, I am useless. So I run.
All you have to do is make another endurance check for me.
That's all I have to do. Ah, come on, dice.
Do you know how many dice I have over here? How many times I've offered these dice?
I said
And you
yes.
You didn't say yes. You looked over and then you looked me in the face.
Give
And
it-
how
give-
was that a yes?
Anyway,
Give
that's
some to
5
Sarah
degrees of failure.
All right.
immediately.
So, your intentions aren't going to happen. I'm sorry, Bear. You're choking. You can't breathe. And you're on the ground. It's really up to you, Mirin. You're yelling at Weller, and you look over and you realize what's happening to Bear. You hear the drones overhead. And explosions start to pepper this entire grove of trees.
Well, shit. I pull Weller to grab one of Bear's hands and grab the other hand, and we hightail it out of there, just dragging behind.
You're dragging just Weller?
No. I mean, I can make a roll for it. I was hoping that I had intimidated Weller enough to get him to snap back into focus.
So you're trying to drag Bear out.
We'll just drag Bear out.
Weller isn't going to be able to help you with that. Weller is able to sort of stumble forward, still unable to see, and according to them, unable to breathe, but they're pushing forward out of just sheer fear of you. Mm-hmm. But they're no use in trying to get Bear out of here, and Bear's a lot of dead weight.
Yep.
Bear's big.
Yep.
So you grab onto Bear, you drag Bear maybe a foot before you realize that you're going to need more help if that's going to happen. And Weller isn't it. Even if Weller could be of use, you're not sure that Weller is physically able to do so.
I make another call to Hacksaw.
Nothing.
Hacksaw on me.
No response.
There's that backup.
And no communications from any of the other reinforcements or the backup or just nobody, anything.
You're getting a lot of static. But the drones, they're active. And you see that at least one of your orders made it through. Bombs are being dropped onto this area, and fiery explosions are engulfing entire tree lines in front of you. And they're getting closer and closer to your location, scrubbing back towards the initial location. Doctor, you're sitting in your office. They have frozen the subject. The initial data is very promising, and he's been preserved for later examination. This was a success. The subject didn't die, not initially. Their body wasn't cleared of the virus, but they were able to sustain the treatment. When the autopsy and all of the data from his internal organs are collected, you and your associates should be able to make sizable progress. But the subject was frozen and taken away. You're now in your office. You have data in front of you that has been recently collected from Rivertown. When a figure is wheeled in, the tent flap is pulled back, the hermetically sealed alcove is on the other side. You can see Swift pushing a figure. Would you describe yourself, please, Victor?
Yes. Victor is slender, about 5'9", dark, kind of salt and pepperish hair, but with a younger face. The graying of his hair betrays his actual age. And he looks like he's been through hell. He's not quite totally with it yet.
You two are well acquainted. You've worked together in the past. You're part of separate cells, though. Your research is usually carefully segmented. But given the level at which both of you work, you're well aware of each other.
Doctor, I see you've brought me a present.
Oh, those presents weren't meant for you. I can assure you of that. You've made it out of the cave, I see.
Well, I was always going to leave sometime. You made it out earlier than I did, and we were pretty sure you all perished, but look what we found. You're welcome.
Took you long enough.
Well, we found you completely passed out, and it seems like some of the villagers here somehow managed to save you. But we also found our favorite little subject that we thought you lost.
About that, we have some notes that we should compare.
What about?
I will speak to you in private about that.
Dr. Swift, if you wouldn't mind giving us the room. He's a sensitive soul.
Very fragile.
I'll be outside. And Swift sort of like pushes the wheelchair roughly up to your desk. Your knees hit the other side of it with a loud thunk. And Swift turns and walks back into the alcove, seals the flap, and then you can hear the mist fill the alcove before they continue on. And you're alone.
Sounds like a fun field trip.
What brought you out?
Oh, they'd let me.
Wait, let me correct. What I mean to say is, what made them loosen your leash?
That I'm doing great research and that there are things to find up here to get more
Doctor,
specimens.
Putting our rivalry aside, you've been doing great research for quite some time, but they still never let you out.
Maybe they're running out of other doctors. 'Cause they keep
They're
disappearing.
certainly not. Capable ones, yes, of course, maybe. There are some of us that are a little bit better than others, at any rate.
Look, I deserve to be out here, as much as you were, and I haven't failed yet, like you have.
Oh, I didn't fail.
You're barely alive.
Yes, but not to any fault of my own. Listen, you need to know
Where's the rest of your party then?
they're dead.
Okay.
Because somebody from our own organization decided to fire upon us as we were extracting the asset.
Huh. Why would they do that?
No, Doctor, you have to take this seriously because if we were targeted, you have enemies where we're from. Everybody knows how well liked you are.
Pretty sure everyone does like me, but
Especially your superiors. Take that as a warning and as a thank you.
so you are suggesting that for some reason our own kind are going after us for whatever reason.
What I'm telling you is what I recall, which is as soon as we were leaving that facility with the asset, what we were met with was another strike force that was there
But-
for us.
Victor, weren't you doing something to that group you're with? Didn't you have some kind of wasn't there some sort of experiment happening while you were
There's always
collecting-
experiments happening. What are you?
Did something go wrong?
Nothing went wrong. Actually, things went quite right.
So your entire party perished. You did manage to bring out specimen 2B74, which
Yes.
we have her now. Thank you.
Yes.
And
That facility was compromised.
and then
course.
one of our own shot at you.
Yes, but not from my team.
Hmm.
The extraction team.
Maybe you weren't meant to make it out. Maybe you pissed someone off.
That's unlikely.
Well, it is my first time up top, so I won't take, what is it called? Something about a horse looking at the teeth. But
Yeah, that thing.
yeah. But I don't understand why. We're trying to improve humanity.
Of course. Why would someone want to take out the team sent to acquire that asset?
I don't know. Did you see anything in the facility?
Oh, yes, I saw plenty, but not enough time to do much with it. It was in shambles. It was already overrun by some revenants that I was unfamiliar with.
Ooh, new revenants.
Yeah.
There's new strains all over this place. Apparently, the community here has been using them in their soil and putting them in their crops, and now everyone has a weird mutation inside of them.
Well, I saw some pretty unusual things in this facility. And
does it have anything to do with the fact that the open secret that if someone takes too many of the inhibitors and they turn, they're a little too sentient?
I don't know what you mean.
You know what I mean.
What do you know about that?
That would need better antivirals, and we're working on it. Apparently you were working on it. And I bring out the box.
Let me see that, and I'll take the box.
One of these is empty now, because I tried to use it on a test subject, but it went okay, but ultimately they didn't survive the interaction. We had to freeze them.
Now, from what I recall, this is the blood.
That's correct.
I know what that is. And
You know what everything is.
I know, yeah. Victor knows what everything is. Are any of my serums that I would use to inject my strike force in here, is that what this blue is?
The blue is one of your specific creations, and it's not meant to enhance.
Oh.
It's what you think might very well be the start of a final solution.
Yes.
But it all comes down to Starburst.
You took one of these. And you injected
There were
it.
two.
Yes, there were two.
We can
And what did
synthesize
you
another
do?
one.
You don't even know what it is.
I knew it was an antiviral.
Okay, I need a lab, and I need it now.
There's plenty of tents up top here.
Are they, well equipped?
Enough.
Then I need to get to work, and I need to see the subject that you utilized my serum on.
Well, I would love to help you so much. But, one little thing. We noticed you removed your chip.
I reach back.
Your tracking chip. Are you trying to flee the scene?
There are sutures. The wound has been cleaned up.
Did you do that?
How could I possibly do that on my own?
With difficulty. You are a doctor. You know where things lie. You know where we insert the chip. Did you have a plan B? Somewhere else to go? Something else to do?
Is there somewhere else to go?
You tell me. You're so experienced with the up-top world.
Oh yes, there's plenty of places. Beaches that are pristine and paradise. Everywhere you go, yes, of course. There's no escape, you know this. I wouldn't do this to myself. That's absurd.
Well, then if someone else did it to you, one, who was it? And two, why? Why should we not find you again? Are you getting too close to the truth? Or are you getting too close to something bad?
Why do those two things have to be different?
I don't know. We know what we want. Find a cure, enhance humanity, make a better
Attention
generation.
all personnel.
Whoopsie.
Eagle's Nest is on Red Alert lockdown. All personnel will remain in their current locations until notified.
You bunk buddies. Sounds like the strike team's not doing well out there. There wasn't that much out there. Everything was already on fire. I'm not sure what the problem is.
Wow. I think we should... What they're having us do is making us sitting ducks, so that is not the solution.
You know, Dr. V, I should say, since Dr. Ramos is now with us as well. Dr. V, you're well protected.
You know we're fine. You know the protocols.
Right.
What are you scared of?
Because I witness those protocols not work.
You were in a very small team. We have multiple teams on site here, and we neutralized the threat as far as I know.
You've got over half of Daedalus in this encampment. The research facility that's been erected here is secure, hidden, and the top priority of the agents present. Those that are still in the field are mostly with Damocles, although some of Daedalus has also been called into that field work.
The other problem we have here, Victor, is that you don't seem to be wearing your suit anymore. So even if you do go back, that's about a year, 2, or never in isolation.
I know the rules, and I wasn't trying to avoid any of that.
So if you got attacked back at the nest, the other nest, how did you get all the way over here?
That's where things get a little bit foggy. I just remember wandering for, I don't know, days, maybe more. But I feel like I saw the helicopter crash, and so I headed towards it. And at some point everything went black, and then I was on a bed.
Did you talk to anybody in this town? Do you remember anything?
I talked to some people. There's a doctor here. That was
This
tending
place
to
is
me.
rife with doctors, apparently. What about them?
She seemed to be pretty good.
Ooh, is this the famous Dr. Remy I keep hearing so much about?
Well, I guess word travels very fast. Yes. She was the one that was patching me up, watching over me.
Well, I've already alerted headquarters that she's here. Apparently they've been looking for her for a bit. For a feather in my cap, honestly.
Where is she?
I think she's at the other facility right now. There's 2 teams here now.
And we're on lockdown right now.
Apparently, according to the announcement. It's not really my field of expertise. But if they say stay inside, I'm not going to break out so I can fight revenants with myself. That's
You're in charge of the science team, yes?
research, yes. But
Well,
not the fighting.
The research subject that is of utmost value is not in your present research facility.
Not yet. I believe they're around. I
Let's
could
get
radio
her.
in and find them.
Yeah.
I bring up my comms.
Yeah.
Any relevant personnel, we are looking for the specimen that was found on site with Dr. Ramos. Subject 2B74, please. Location?
Doctor, the subject is currently being held in lockdown. We can produce the subject for you, but not at this time.
I see. They're in the same encampment, though, as us? Nearby?
Affirmative.
What about the doctor?
Yes. And where is Dr. Remy?
Dr. Remy is held within the same facility.
Okay. All great answers. Thank you. So we just have to wait.
Well, let's do something useful while we're here. I want to examine this, and I want to get to work on extracting, on synthesizing these two.
All right.
My work is not done.
Okay. Well, Dr. V, you do have ample equipment here. Your office is connected to the rest of one of your labs. You have all of the technical machinery that would be needed to begin the process. You know, field work like this isn't exact, though. Without being in a full facility, you run the risk of destroying the sample.
I wouldn't dare to do that. If there is a way to just extract a small amount and not utilize the whole thing.
Are you trying to synthesize more of the antiviral?
Yes, but now I have the blood of someone who is special. And I haven't gotten to work on that yet.
Here it is, Victor. I'm going to lay it out for you. You know for a fact that you're not going to see the inside of a Nero research facility for probably a year. You can most certainly do this work outside of the confines of what Nero provides. But this is a tent.
Yeah.
It is filled with adequate machinery that will allow you to do this work. But there's a risk. You can either forego that risk and trust Dr. V to complete your work, or some other doctor within
Back at the facility? No.
Or you can try to do it yourself, but you know that that means that you either have to do it in the field or find another research facility where you won't have to go through a decontamination process. And the fact that you aren't decontaminated very well may upset some people that you're working on this in any way, shape, or form. It could compromise the research. You know these things to be true, but I can't make those decisions for you. What I can tell you is that if you try this, you will have to expend the resources that you have in front of you to have any effect at all. If you expend those resources, there is a risk attributed to that.
This is all I have.
For now, yes.
I'm desperate. But not that desperate.
You had another vial of the antiviral. Now you only have the one.
Yes.
It was not complete. Neither are. So you're not desperate enough to do this yet.
No. Not yet.
So.
And what are the rest of the vials that I have in here?
One of them is black bile from a subject that is unique.
Okay. I know what that means.
Heavily mutated. Heavily advanced.
And I brought that with me from into the field. Okay, yes, I know what all this is. Great. So Victor walks over to the the station, little research station, and starts to fiddle with the vials, looks for utensils, is just stalling, trying to think his way out of the predicament that he's in.
It sounds like you get to make a sense motive roll.
Woohoo. That is a 21 over... Where is sense motive on this thing?
Detect motives. I know where that is.
Oh, that's...
God damn.
Ooh, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 3 degrees of success.
3 degrees of success.
So, Victor, are you... I mean, I know you're mentally struggling to figure out what to do here next. This is my lab. I did inject one of your serums into a subject that is still frozen in a nearby facility. We could always see what happens and look at that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Also, we still have your little friend that is immune, so there is more blood that we can extract from them at some point. They're just nearby. Just have to be patient.
It's not my strong suit.
You just wake up from, like, a coma, so maybe you should take it easy.
I'll find somewhere to sit and I just kind of sink into that. As everything that I've been through finally starts to catch up and hit me.
You're aware of the large white boxes that hang in the corners of the tents. Dr. V is very well acquainted with them, but you know that this area is being monitored. You're sitting there, and you notice that a red light switches to green.
Does that mean anything to me?
Nothing to you.
Dr. V, that light just went from red to green. What does that mean?
What does it mean, Knox?
Current personnel are free to move about the complex.
Ah, yes, lockdown. Yes. Great.
So,
Let's,
shall we go visit your friends?
I would very much love that.
Let's go.
You're able to walk, but very slowly. You're probably going to need a cane for some time. However, the wheelchair is a lot more comfortable at this point for you in your healing. So it's up to you as to whether or not you want to try to power through this and walk alongside the doctor or ask the doctor for help.
Do you mind?
Mind what?
Give me a little push.
That you would never ask. Sure. Let's go.
I'll sit in the chair and let her push me.
The two of you wheel out of the research tent and you see a lot of activity, but you understand now exactly what Dr. V was talking about. Victor, this home base is surrounded by armored soldiers. The specters, clad in their dark black armor with the skull visage on their helmet, are well prepared. A series of drones are circling above the encampment.
Dr. V, why such a force?
I feel like this is a regular amount, actually. It's so that we don't all die in our attempt to gather samples and to survey the area and neutralize threats.
The people of this town are really that much of a threat?
If I'm being honest, not really. But the point is that we heard that they'd found you, that there were things here to be found. Also, that the mutation of the virus is exceeding at a very rapid rate, which is not great for us. So we need to get more samples of what's currently out here, figure out why it's happening, and neutralize it. We're in a little more of a hurry than we used to be.
Understood. Let's go say hello to our friends.
Sure.
The tent that you lead Victor to, it's heavily guarded. There are even more specters here than there were patrolling earlier. There are a number of vehicles in front. All-terrain vehicles. You see the symbol of the Project Nero painted across the side, but you also see a number of vehicles that are meant to move through the area without it drawing any suspicion. Wagons, horses, covered wagons with signs and junk hanging off of them, but on the interior of them, all the supplies that would be necessary for a squad to make their way into a community unawares.
Victor's looking around as he's being wheeled. And he is trying to get a read on the people around, see if anyone notices him. Especially looking to notice if anyone is surprised that he's alive or bothered about it at all.
You can roll detect motives, and we'll see if you are able to read anything on the
poor Victor.
helmeted faces of the people around you. There are very few of them who are showing you much of anything as far as their facial expressions.
Be like a body language, like a start.
I mean, I understand what you're looking for. It's just going to be a little harder.
He's gonna try real hard and get 3 degrees of failure.
And I'm assuming you don't want to spend whatever competency you have left on that. Great.
He's never bothered to study people.
And it doesn't help you in this situation at all. You have this tinge of paranoia creeping its way up your spine. As far as you're concerned, this isn't right. The whole thing isn't right. Let me ask you this. Did you remove your own tracker?
He moves his hand up and feels the incision and can't quite recall. He knows that he's wanted to. He knows that he's wanted to get out, and that this last mission was one way he was hoping he could do that, but then that failed. But to be so stupid to actually remove the tracker when he
You were
would-
delirious, though. You had been shot, you'd lost a lot of blood, you'd been through a lot of trauma. Is it so out of character for you to have been wanting to be free in that moment?
And he wrestles with that and doesn't land on
don't
anything
know.
that feels right, because he could see it going any of those ways. Just he can't quite remember.
So we'll leave it at that. A mystery. Because if you didn't do it,
Then who did?
I don't know which is more frightening to Victor, but either way, you don't have any answers.
No.
But as far as you're concerned, what it does is it makes you guilty.
No, he is aware of that.
It shows them your hand. Yet you have been given a startling amount of freedom, especially given that you've not gone through any special decontamination protocols. I mean, you've been sanitized, and who knows what measures they took while you were unconscious, but for the most part, they've not tried to put you back inside of a suit. They've let you be as you were found.
Which could mean one of two things that I can think of right now. One is that they have other plans for me. Or two, that they have bigger fish to fry.
Dr. V pushes you into an infirmary. Mirin. He's on the ground. The flies are nearly covering him now. There are thick clouds around you as well, and firebombing is occurring just on the horizon, not 50 feet away from you now. The drones are doing their job. You're not sure why communications are failing now, but you're not getting clear comms from anyone. Your radio is crackling. What do you do?
Would I be having the same problem, you think, with the emergency radio? I have one.
It's up to you as to whether or not you want to stop and try to use it. As the moment unfurls before you, you have a couple of choices. Bear most likely can run if you can be helped to your feet.
I got some survival points I'm happy to use.
All right. Weller is already a good 20 feet away from you, having followed your last order, which is get up, get past the flies. That is pretty much all that he's taken from that conversation. Followed it to a T. He's clearly scared shitless of you. But with
Maybe
the
he's a smart man.
But as far as the firebombing goes, if something doesn't happen quickly, the rest of your unit, you and Bear, are going to be engulfed in those bombings. So this is your moment to decide.
Well, I know that Bear just offered survival points, so I want to see what the answer is on that before I make my decision.
I believe you have 2 competency remaining, is that correct?
I do, but those are, got a lot of.
I believe the
survival
words you're
points.
looking for is you don't want to spend them.
Mirin's kind of low on empathy.
You've been very empathetic up until now. You've been very helpful. Those are your competency. I encourage you to spend them as you see fit. I just wanted to call forth the fact that you do have them. Bear, how many survival points do you have?
I have 100.
That's good to know. You get to make one roll. It's a dodge.
All right.
I'm assuming then, Mirin, You're doing what you can to encourage Bear to his feet, but you're not directly intervening.
I'm doing the command thing. Like I cranked up my radio and being like, I do not give a command twice. You fall back. I can give one of the rendezvous points.
Yeah.
Rendezvous RB.
You shout out your locations, the coordinates very clearly, and to be clear, you didn't stop to draw the emergency radio out of your pack. You're still using your regular radio, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Given that information, you make your command. I will allow you to make an intimidation check.
And could I make an argument, since there's no dodging everything that's on me right now, that this is more of a lift pull as I try to rise my own weight from the ground?
I've been excessively harsh this session. And I don't see any point in stopping now.
Fair enough.
Dodge it is.
Four degrees of failure.
Wow. You can now make your lift pull.
Oh. 5 degrees of success.
But you did get 4 degrees of
I
failure.
did.
We'll call that 1 degree of success in total,
Sure.
but there's a price. I don't want your survival points. I want you to set your timer to 3 minutes.
Okay.
And I want you to make another endurance check right away.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Riding fast and loose on this, y'all. 5 degrees of failure.
Oh my god.
And you have how many survival points?
100.
If you give me those 100, we'll call it 4 degrees of failure.
Oh.
Kill somebody else.
Why not? Nina?
All right. Too bad you don't have anything else to use here.
Oh my god. He
Too bad you don't have
looked
any
me
friends.
straight in my face. I did get 2 degrees of success on the intimidate, and I have under command a +2.
I'm going to call that, I understand. I'll translate that then.
Okay.
You now have 2 degrees of failure.
Nice.
That was like using 2 competency points, by the way.
Okay.
All right.
Are we moving forward?
I try to get up and run.
Well, we'll narrate what happens to you in just a moment.
If I gave the 2 competency points, it would still make it a wash.
Uh-huh. That's correct. That would be a wash.
Oh my god,
Mirin.
no. Alright.
All right, you're going to spend the 2 competency, or all right, you're going to let it go?
Alright, I'm going to spend the 2 competency, but I'm getting the hell out of there.
Okay.
I'm not physically helping.
So sweet.
That's a wash. And you catch up to Weller fairly quickly. Weller's not nearly as physically able as you are. He's slower. Do you look back?
I assume that Bear takes a command just like Bear always has. I assume my entire team has, and I proceed to the rendezvous point.
Very well. Your commands were very clear, and you know that if there was anything that you could do to inspire Bear to move forward, you did everything possible. You trip forward at first. You fall flat. You feel them crawling into your suit. And you're just engulfed in this swarm. You feel the heat on your back as the firebombing destroys the earth behind you. You're thrust forward again as one of these explosions knocks you off your feet. Mirin, you and Weller are far enough up that all you feel is the dirt scatter across you as you push through the clouds, and they're getting thinner and thinner now as you're moving away from the location. The coordinates behind you are on fire. You and Weller have escaped.
Are we the only ones that have? Do I see anybody else?
Bear, you pull yourself forward as the last explosion throws you forward again. What's your damage threshold?
7.
That's an exploding die. 2 5s, your armor discounts the rest of the damage.
Okay.
What's left of it?
Still got 1 left.
So you take superficial damage. Or you have 1 level left.
1 level left.
You take, severe burns. Anything exposed is charred. That's most of your head and your neck. There's a good side to this, however. The flies are gone. And you're thrown forward. You know your hair has been burned off, and you don't feel the pain at first. There's a slickness across your entire scalp, your forehead, your cheeks, your chin. And then it starts to slowly creep in, the pain. I need you to make a final endurance check since your clock is out. But guess what? You're alive. As you're thrown forward, you roll out of this explosion. You're away from the clouds of flies now. But you might pass out.
Do you want different dice? Or...
At this point, it's the hand, not the dice, you know?
Let's go. Got this.
That's 1 degree of success.
Wow. Against all odds, you pull yourself up and you escape.
I suppose you see me as you survey, looking for anyone who has joined. Against all odds, crawling towards you.
See, Agent Weller, I told you Delta-7 could take orders. Get over here with some pain relievers.
Agent Weller starts to make his way towards Bear, but has to stop to prevent himself from throwing up in his suit. Once he composes himself, he takes care of you. He applies an emergency burn gel. He wraps you in a thin skin of what feels like latex, but it draws itself around your wounds, immediately sealing them in. He sedates you. Just enough so that you can walk. And both you and Weller, Mirin, have to support Bear as you walk him back to the retrieval point. Congratulations. You're alive.
Woo.
We'll see you next week.